So, I've been ill recently, which has meant a lot of time in bed, which has meant a lot of Netflix, which meant watching Umbrella Academy the new season, which meant this video. Hello! We can all thank being ill for the creation of this content. Hey Spuds, how's it going? It's Jamie, welcome back to another video, your first video on the channel. I don't know, but welcome either way. I'm very glad to have you here. I'm very excited about this video. This is a very cool thing. This is something that I feel like younger me could only ever have dreamed of. Actually, yes, younger me could only ever have dreamed of this, and younger me did dream of this happening, and I'm very glad it has happened. I am a trans man. I've been transitioning for the past 11 years, and I am here to discuss trans mask representation on a Netflix TV show. Elliot Page. I know it's not the first time it's happening, it's just one of the times that is the most well-known, the most spoken about, the most well-known actor playing the role. So this is very cool. So we all know, or a lot of us will know, or where the heck have you been living to not know, that the wonderful Elliot Page came out as trans. Living his best life, looking wonderful, and amazingly, they made his character in Umbrella Academy trans also. Honestly, I know I've already said it, but seeing trans masculine representation in a mainstream TV show portrayed by a very well-known actor playing a main role in this TV show is just like, wow. It's also going to help so many people. In this video, I'm just going to be reacting to the initial coming out scenes of Elliot Page's character in Umbrella Academy and that process, how the show covers it, my perspective as a trans man, all of that stuff. Now, I like how straight away the front cover, as I'm watching this on Netflix, has Elliot Page right at the front there, new haircut, looking mighty fine with a jawline that could cut potatoes and other things. Elliot Page has a very good jawline, just saying. So the whole first episode does not cover anything to do with Elliot's character being trans. The character still presents and is referred to the same way they were in previous seasons. There is no mention of transness, no coming out has occurred just yet. It does make sense and it's fine, but it does feel a little bit uncomfortable just knowing what's gonna happen. Because it almost feels like his character is getting dead named and misgendered, even though technically they're not, because nobody knows. There is no coming out. Anyway, first thing is we see some flashbacks between Elliot's character and the love interest from last season, Sissy. There's some feels going on there, there's some stuff explored, lovely little flashbacks, and then boom! Trans moment, episode 2, we're going straight in there. Literally 5 minutes in and it's haircut time. Honestly, very relatable moment. I feel like if you don't know, it could seem relatively insignificant and just like, oh, character is getting a haircut. Oh, what is going on here? Why are they paying attention to a haircut? But I personally find it a really subtle and fitting and very true representation of those initial steps when a trans person begins transitioning. Haircuts, or not getting haircuts, so having your hair cut shorter or letting your hair grow longer, is a very pivotal moment for a lot of trans people. It can often be the first major physical thing that people change about themselves when beginning their transition. I think the fact that the show covered that element before we even know that Elliot's character is trans, this is being shown as a first step, and it just feels very authentic, so yes. None of them seem to have an issue. And honestly, I just felt like that really captured the scared emotion that can go with coming out, and that like pause. I was watching that and they were silent and I was like, oh my gosh, what are they gonna say? And it like brought back those same feelings of what happens when you come out, and just the emotions coming from Elliot's character, who we now know is called Victor. I personally thought it was very well done. It was very short. Maybe felt mildly underwhelming the first time I watched it. I knew it was going to happen at some point in the series, and then it was just like, boom, there, on the table, haircut, you come out to 3 of your brothers. Wow. Just done. Just like a, hey, this is who I've always been, just letting you know, moving on, nice, done. I definitely like more to be explored later on, but I felt like that was a very fitting reaction and coming out process to the characters that Victor was coming out to. And I mean, honestly, they all have superpowers. It really shouldn't be a big deal for one of their siblings to be trans. Imagine having a sibling who's got literal tentacles and another who can manipulate time and space, and then you have a problem when one of them comes out as trans. Oh, and the trans sibling can also manipulate sound. It wouldn't make sense for them to not get their heads around trans stuff. The next sibling that Victor comes out to is Allison, and they have like the closest relationship. So we start with one scene where Victor mentions to Allison that he's making some changes, and Allison mentions the haircut because clearly that is a change that has occurred, and Victor says, well, it is more than that, but I'll tell you later, you know, building up the suspense. Then the actual coming out scene comes a few minutes later, and Allison's main reaction is, why didn't I know sooner? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why didn't I know this? She feels bad for not figuring it out sooner, which Victor states it's not her fault. That's fine, and it isn't, and it is something that some people can feel. Some people, when you come out to them, it's a big shock, and other people it's like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. How did I not realize that sooner? But Victor stops her and explains, how could she know when he didn't know himself? He started figuring it out after being in a relationship with somebody who helped him realize that he needed to be himself and to stop being in that box that he'd always been in. This conversation helps to highlight that it's not always clear-cut. It doesn't always just come to people straight away, and sometimes we need help and time to figure things out fully and know who we really are, and that's okay. Big trans energy right there. Oh my gosh. That scene for me brought the feels. Honestly, that's the difference it makes to have a trans person playing the trans character and be involved in the writing process and actually consulting with them about how to write this character as trans. Hair mirrors seeing yourself like comfort in your own skin. It's very on the nose, maybe a little cliche in many ways, but at the same time, that is so accurate for many, many trans people for those early stages of figuring out you're trans and coming out and finding that comfort and finding who you are. And that's the stage that Victor is in, so it makes perfect sense that this is the journey that we're seeing him go through. This exchange between Victor and Allison really went into the bit more depth that was lacking from the initial conversation, but again, it made sense with the characters because of the relationship that Victor has with the different siblings. But this second coming out brought out more of the feels. This was more of the emotional side, more of the discussion, more about like how it feels to be trans, not just, hey, this is who I am, but like, this is who I am, and this is how I figured it out, and this is how I know, and this is how I'm feeling. Honestly, I think those initial coming outs were done very smoothly. It was touched upon lightly enough that it didn't overtake the storyline or suddenly mean that Victor's character is all about the fact that Victor is trans, but it went into enough details so that we could understand a bit about how he's feeling and how he got to this point and his process. The show is not about being trans. It's a show that happens to have a trans character, and I feel like that was acknowledged and had enough time spent on it without being like, okay, well now we have a trans character, we have to make everything about this character the fact that they're trans, blah 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 blah. I also like that they staggered Victor coming out to different siblings, and it wasn't just one very set up scene of like, okay, here we have you all gathered in a room, hello, I am Victor, I am trans, blah 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 blah, and that's it. Because that's often not how it goes for many people when they come out. It often is a staggered approach, and coming out happens in multiple different ways, across multiple different times, to multiple different people. Luther is the last sibling to find out that Victor is Victor, because he has been elsewhere. I do not want to give away spoilers, he has just been another place, so he's not been involved in these conversations yet. But he basically uses Victor's dead name without realizing, and Diego very simply corrects and is like, it's Victor now. Luther's very chill about it and is just like, well, what else did I miss? Which is very cool. Honestly, I think the coming out elements were handled really great. The siblings are having to pull together anyway to work on a little something else, and I think the show managed to give Victor's coming out the space and time it deserved without becoming a focus. We also got some of the emotional and the feelings and the realization elements around being trans worked in there as well, which was just very cool to see. It just feels like a trans storyline done with love, input from a trans person, and care. So thank you. I really enjoyed watching that. So yeah, that's everything I wanted to react to and talk about in this episode. If you want me to talk in any more depth about this topic, then let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about this. I feel like this is very meaningful. I feel like Elliot Page, outside of this role, has been a great advocate for trans rights and just being a visible trans person. It's been amazing ever since he came out. So yeah, very lovely to see. If you like this video, think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, but no pressure if you don't want to. And yeah, as always, I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.